camera goes to war. Each day it records the courage and heroism of our troops in battle. But rarely do you see the camera and the men behind it who risk those same dangers to send back their stories and pictures. Cameramen are always on the job. In the air, out in the desert, and in the trenches, it's nothing new for them. In the last war, they set up their cameras 60 yards from the German front line. The man in the tin hat and bow tie is D.W. Griffiths, responsible for that silent epic, The Birth of a Nation. Their get-up may look a bit odd now, but they thrilled the audiences of their day with the first shots of a tank going into action. And in 1916, to the sound of a tinkling piano, it lumbered across the screen. It was news. Tank was a magic word. It was Britain's secret weapon. And because of the frontline cameramen, people at home saw it in action. The inverted commas disappeared. The rear wheel that helped the tank over wide trenches went too. So did the cameramen's bow ties. They were issued with uniforms. Wearing the war correspondent's flash, film cameramen went out on the job again, sending back frontline pictures that week by week you see in the 5 newsreels you know so well. Gradually, the services built up organizations. In the Army Film Unit, volunteers from all sections get an intensive training under experts. First comes the theoretical side of the job. Then they're put through battle courses, where they practice taking pictures under actual fire, till they're passed out to join the hundreds of other forces cameramen who, with their newsreel colleagues, daily make a permanent record of the drama of the battlefront. This is the real thing. Side by side, they brought back the story of that great raid on Vargsa. Early morning saw the first combined operation by cameramen in this war, an historic occasion. In every kind of light they worked, at dusk and at dawn, from midnight to midday to bring back these perfect pictures. You're in the thick of the fight with our assault squads as the cameraman finds what cover he can under a low wall. He contrasts the smoothness of a destroyer sailing on snow, it seems, with flames that melt the snow all round. Like the wireless operators, the cameraman's job is a highly specialized one. He must work a complicated camera and work it right with hell let loose around it. He comes face to face with the enemy in more senses than one. His sense of humor makes him film a Nazi notice forbidding photography before taking the pictures you've just seen. And they were taken by men like this. Sidney Bonnet of Gaumont British. Here he's on his way to film the Narvik raid. He was the first cameraman, by the way, to fly over Everest. A lot of thought and planning is required to get first-class pictures. The equipment's expensive and weighty to lug about in battle. Universal's Leslie Murray wipes bomb spray off his camera near Narvik. Here's Jim Gemmell in the front line during the Battle of Britain. This is the camera, and this is Ian Struthers using it to shoot the beaches of Sicily on that historic invasion morning. Douglas Hardy took one of the brilliant Malta convoy stories you saw. Edward Candy's story went down with his camera. He was reported missing too, but now he's fighting fit again. Universal's Frank Burnell changes film in his portable darkroom, the changing bag. Jack Cotter Sr., expert in aerial photography in the last war on this. Ashwood, 8th Army newsreel veteran. Charles Martin, off to France at the start of the war. Subsequently, he went to Dunkirk to record for history the miracle evacuation of 1940. Sergeant Ackland hits the headlines at home when he films the meeting of the American and 8th Armies in Tunisia. "Hello, Limey," they said. "How'd you do?" said his camera. The Army Film Unit was on the job throughout the campaign. They were in Sicily, too. Although you're never told who took the pictures, for headquarters use, each Army cameraman has a number board that identifies his film. As you can see, the cameramen are mostly sergeants. They go into action anywhere and any time, armed only with loaded film. Their gallantry is unquestioned. And here's the owner of that last board, Sergeant Wilson, on the job. General Montgomery knows the value of the cameraman's work. He spares time for a word with Terry Ashwood of Pathy, who wants pictures of one of our armored divisions in action. "That's the place for you," says Monty. And these are the pictures he got from inside one of our tanks bumping over the desert as the German anti-tank gunners tried to knock them out. A good change of position and complete lack of cover got him this, another of our tanks under heavy fire. Meet Jack Ramsden of Movietone. His assignment is a daylight raid over occupied Europe. His main care is his camera. It's carefully and accurately fitted to the door of a flying fortress. It's covered with an electric blanket to prevent the motor freezing up. Every precaution is taken to ensure you're seeing good pictures if the cameraman gets back. All set now except for his oxygen mask and heavy gloves, not easy to work in, but necessary at these terrific heights if he's to get pictures like bombs gone, Paramount's Jim Wright in another fortress takes up where the bomb aimer leaves off. They're over in an Italian cove, pattern bombing it for enemy submarines. Wouldn't you think his fingers would tremble with excitement? But the pictures are steady as a rock. Put yourself in the cameraman's place. These bombs, gleaming white against the blue of the sea, are plunging down relentlessly on the Italian fleet. Down they drop, and there's more to come. What a chance for the cameraman, but those bombs are pretty small things to follow. Correcting his aim all the time, with his eye glued to the viewfinder, he follows the tiny specks down and down. Is that the target coming into view on the left? No, it's only a destroyer between the torpedo nets. The light seems good down there. Now, what's this? Yes, there she is, one of the Littorio class. But where are those bombs? The camera pans again as the pilot banks. Target just in picture. And there go the bombs. Good work, bomb aimer, and good work, cameraman, too. There was no second chance for you on that job. Reconnaissance photographs confirmed the evidence of the film. The battleships were underwater at the stern. The cameraman nearly was on this convoy, but he kept his trigger finger going as he did when the camera bucked on the job at Malta, when it was shaken by mortar fire in Vargso, as shelling jolted it in the western desert, and one of our tanks blasting snipers out of Tunis rocked it. It swayed from the blasts of priests punching at the enemy. And in this landing craft changing over from sea to land at Sicily, the cameraman had only his camera to hang on to, but he kept it running. Despite violent evasive action over Essen, this RAF man focused steadily on the raging fires below. And then suddenly came the unexpected. 1,000,000 to 1 chance, and a 4,000-pound incendiary was hit by flak just as it left the plane. It burst into flames. The sudden glare outlined the aircraft, blinded its occupants. The pilot flung his ship about still more violently, but the RAF cameraman somehow or other kept lined up on his target, that falling mass of fire. The unexpected on the ground this time. 300 yards away, an ammo dump goes up. The cameraman swings onto the burning embers and debris while they're still in the air. He dodges a windowsill to get this close up. Would you fancy calmly taking pictures in this rain of shrapnel? A bridge is mined in the Low Countries. The rubble drops nearer and nearer, but only the camera moves to record chunks of masonry falling at the feet of Charles Martin of Pathay. To a cameraman, it's all in the day's work, like jumping to these red devils, the parachute troops of the British Army. One after another they go. And the cameraman goes with them, taking pictures all the time as he drops down to earth, and minding his camera as he lands. Fred Bayliss of Paramount took those pictures. His camera had to be strapped to his belt. Bayliss was killed on the eve of the Sicilian invasion. And this is the last shot he took, emplaning again for action. Under crossfire between ships en route for Russia, the cameraman can't always get the picture he wants. On this Arctic convoy, Ewens hung on to a Nazi plane that was hit, but when it crashed, it was out of camera range. The Navy grinned as he cursed his luck, but here's one that didn't get away. And as he hung on to this shot, thought after thought raced through the cameraman's mind. Will any ship get between me and that plane? Will they hit us in the meantime? Can I get this safely back to England? Shall I have enough film to get the final dive? There was enough film. He got his picture. All was well, and to John Turner of Gaumont British, it was the shot of a lifetime. Meet Ronnie Noble of Universal News. He was taken prisoner in 1940, but before he was captured, he lined up his camera and got these remarkable shots of lorried infantry under fire. Our men stuck to it. So did Noble. That wasn't far away. Nor was this one either. The driver of this camera car was killed. But Alec Tozer of Movietone got off with only a smashed tripod and lived to get these great prisoner of war scenes, thousands of Italians rounded up in Africa. From a photographic point of view alone, these pictures are worth keeping. But you remember how they cheered you in 1940? They're historic too. They record the beginning of Italy's downfall and the smashing of Mussolini's empire. Much nearer home, the camera goes into action off Dover. The port is under fire. Even the whine of shells is recorded. The cameraman's eye and ear work like lightning as he pans the camera to pick up all 3 shells in a couple of seconds. From the cliffs, they film another salvo. 2 pretty close. Where's the 3rd? The locals say they always come in 3s. Yes, there she blows. Our land convoys are under fire. Terry Ashwood is there to shoot and be shot at. A whistle of shells. He swings left and holds on to another salvo of 3. He gets a fresh angle over the side of the truck. Now the driver's view of being under fire. 1940, and London was under fire. From the top of St. Paul's, from the dome itself, the camera looks down on the city ablaze. All through the Blitz, services and newsreel cameramen did a splendid job of work. This one happens to be Peter Cantermont. The Army and the Crown Film units were out many nights. The National Fire Service unit worked non-stop, often stopping their cameras to give a hand with a hose. Wherever our armies have gone, the camera has been with them. It surprised these Nazis in West Africa, and this Hermann Goering youth in Tunisia. Depressed and disillusioned, he can't face the camera. But this man can. He faces it steadily, going to Dieppe in 1942. Equally steady behind the camera was Pathé's Jock Gemmell when he took this record of the action. The camera shows you both sides of the picture. It's not far off as a Spitfire crashes into the sea. And it's on the spot as the search for the pilot finds him still floating in his Mae West. With the Navy on the job, he's soon amongst friends again, a little dazed, but glad to be safe. He's surprised to see they've got everything on board, even the newsreel camera. Pilot in action meets cameraman in action. Howdy, pal. Okay, says Graham Thompson of Movietone. Eddie Edmonds is still on the job in this war, just as he was during 1914-1918. His camera is now a modern one. He doesn't have to keep turning the handle anymore, but there's still the same flair for a picture behind it. He might have taken this shot, for instance. 1915, and the Irish Guards are at Loos. An officer stops to look at the camera. Recognize him? He looks again. Who is he? You have one more chance as he walks back. It's General Alexander. Perhaps you know him better in 1943. And the camera is still with him. It was in Tunis, too. This lorry load of soldiers saw it. And as they craned towards it, they sent home a message that you can interpret for yourselves. The message of victory. They sent it in smiles and waves and cheers. And the people of Tunis joined in, giving the victory sign to the camera. This was news. And it reached you through a reel like this. In all the theaters of war, regardless of danger, our cameramen are going into action. Each week, the result of their work goes through the laboratories. The editor and commentator work on it. And when it reaches the projection box, it's ready for you to see. The story of the war. On with the news, shot for you by cameramen at war.